part of what drives our collective need for urgency in romantic relationships is our belief in scarcity.
Oh, yes.
But you, as Amber Abundance, live very intentionally with an abundance mindset. So will you tell us about the abundance mindset and how it plays into your approach to romantic relationships and connection?
Yes. So my abundance mindset is totally based on the belief that anything can happen and that, can I cuss on here?
Oh, yeah.
Please.
Scarcity is fake as fuck. That's my starting point. Abundance is truly all around us. It's in nature. It's in the fact that our lives are infinite, right? And having that kind of approach helps me to go into any kind of connection, jobs, love, friendships, and to not settle for only not settle, period.
Yeah.
But especially not settle for the fact that this is my only chance, right? I think a lot of some of the decisions we make are rushed and under the belief that there isn't more out there that could be better aligned with what it is that we're trying to do. So whenever I feel blocked in my life, it's because some form of scarcity has snuck in, where the scarcity is preventing me from asking a better question or making my needs known or just keeping me small. And having an abundant approach to life it's the reason why I live in LA. It's the reason why I thought there might be space for me online to talk about queerness. It's the reason why I came out. Truth be told, like the person I was in this back and forth relationship with when I was younger and before I was like, oh, I need to tell my mom and all these other things, she essentially called me a bad queer. She was like, well, you're not the greatest at being a lesbian. Like, no one even knows you're gay. And I was like, you know what? You have a point. And I went home to Columbus, Ohio for my mom's birthday. And I said, hey, girl, I need to free myself.
Yeah.
And I just told her. And that also, not to just base it in like this kind of like tumultuous moment, but when I moved to LA, I met this amazing man who does like storytelling online, and we were sitting at the table and I was just chatting it up, and he was like, you're so engaging, you're so smart. He was like, what do you do? I was like, oh, I work in politics, I do narrative communication. He was like, you could do way more than that. I was like, well, what do you mean? He was like, you could get online, you could tell stories, you could do so much. And I just got quiet. And he was like, well, why aren't you doing that? And it was because I was not out. And he told me in that moment, he said, shame does not compartmentalize itself in your life. So if you have shame over this thing and your life journey is to talk and connect with people and be funny and tell jokes, until you deal with that, it's going to shut you off from so much in your life. So again, there's these moments of people just affirming for me what I needed to do to open my world up. And I had to believe that even though I am a Black girl from Columbus, Ohio, with this big family, that I grew up in the Black Baptist tradition, I had to believe that who I was powerful enough to open up that world, to open up my family's world. I get emotional thinking about it because,
I'm emotional.
yeah, because it's like you can choose to go for what you know. And there's a lot of safety in scarcity. There's a lot of comfort in shame, right? But when you really start to take note of how your body feels and how your life feels, you realize you're very uncomfortable and you're actually hurting. How do you open that up? You mean to tell me you can open up your whole world by just saying a fact about yourself or inviting people into that and letting those chips fall where they may? Like even with my mother, when I told her, she wasn't resistant to me at all. In fact, like, all moms are like, oh, I knew that. And it's like, well, if you
Everyone
knew that,
knows
why
when
didn't
you
you?
look
Everybody
back.
thinks they know everything, but nobody's saying nothing, which is completely unhelpful to Black. I just want to say, if a queer person comes out to you and you're first saying, well, I knew that, that is not enough, especially if you never had a moment before then trying to connect with them, right? this moment of me connecting with this person, he was another gay man. And he was like, hey, what's going on, sister? So, yeah, you just have to believe that things can be different. Like, and you are powerful enough to hold that difference. And by powerful, I don't mean perfect. I don't mean you have all your answers. Like I was saying with my mom, like with me being open about who I am, we have to keep going back to those conversations, keep going back to the drawing board, keep reintroducing ourselves to each other. Because ultimately what I just have come down to, like, I love my mom. I love my family. I want a connection with them. And what that will require is for me to be all of myself and show up over and over and get into them. So when you're practicing, again, it's so funny we're talking about dating, because when you practice that stuff for how you want to live your life, it will trickle into you having a more abundant dating life. And I feel people, like everybody wants to be loved, but there are so many ways to be loved in order to prepare you for romantic love.
Yeah.
And you cannot skip over that, because regardless if you find someone now or later, you will still have to do that work.
Yeah.
You'll always have to do that work. So you might as well frolic through life doing that first and then allowing the rest to fall where it may. So
Yeah, and practice believing in the opportunity.
yes.
And what I feel like part of what you're describing as well is just like, if you just start believing in that abundance and living into that in small ways that make you a little bit uncomfortable,
Yes.
you'll start to see and maybe wind up in a place when you look back that you never would have imagined for yourself.
Mhm.
But it took all of those little steps. And I think all of that work builds to become your like resilience to be able to do that, your belief that there's more out there, and it gets bigger and bigger. And, you know, that trickles into every area of your life,
Yeah.
which makes perfect sense.
Yeah. And we spend a lot of time watching other people do that. I think that's why we love movies and TV and film. And we forget, when we don't take that pause, we are those people. That's why this story sounds like a rom-com. Like, because you're just going to different events and, you know, and it's like, I appreciate this conversation so much, because so much is going on in our world right now. Like, it is very hard, like, to see people not just suffering, but to see so clearly that we are being oppressed.
Yeah.
That we are being made to feel pain by people who have the power to alleviate that pain, right? You know, we're in LA and the ICE protest and the journalists being arrested and all these other things. But even when I think about the Black journalists who were arrested, that they were starting from this place of abundance.
Yeah.
Starting from the place of believing that their iPhone and their voice and documenting these things are important. Now, are they being punished for that? Absolutely. But the story is still there.
Yes.
And that is the kind of courage that we need to, I always say, don't wait to practice this stuff on the front lines of a protest.
Yeah.
Practice this now. As someone who, that was my life. Like, I was in protest. I was doing political organizing in Washington, D.C. for years. And something that I had to even tell my peers was, we cannot only do this and our lives not reflect it. How we're treating each other, our love lives not reflect this big, bold, beautiful world that we're trying to get other people bought into.
Yeah.
That's why I always say, like, yes, find a political home, but you have to be your first political home. You have to be treating yourself with love, dignity, and respect through a Black feminist lens and Black radical imagination. These are all things that language that I have developed for my work, but I also had to take a pause and apply it to myself, right?
Sure. Yeah.
I had to believe that these standards are also, I can hold them for political liberation. I can hold them for liberation, but I could also hold them like for my actual coochie.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's what it comes down to. I wish more people talked about that instead of just, here's how to get a man, here's how to get a date. Like, okay, but do you have community when ICE comes to your street?
Yeah.
Do you know your neighbor? Like, are you too afraid to make connection? You know? So
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think what runs through what you've been talking about through this conversation is that like integration
yes.
of, you know, like you were saying, being in spaces where it integrates your interests and your hobbies and your romantic life and your friendships. And it's the same as like your political work needs to be integrated with your personal, you know, interpersonal relationships, your interrelation, like all of those things need to be integrated. And that is not easy, but that there's so much value that comes through that, and a lot of, freedom to be yourself.
Yeah. And I won't even say it's not that it's easy or hard. It's a life well lived.
Yeah.
Like this what I'm describing is living.
Yes.
And living is not meant to go without this happened and this happened, like these things, and how you pivot and come over hardships, like all that is made easier through having this mindset and people to do it along with, having people by your side to do it with.
I think scarcity is not fun. It's very limiting. It's just such a stifling place to be in. But, a lot of times we don't see like the relationship ladder as scarcity. Like we don't see how so much of society's quote unquote normalcies is scarcity.
Yes.
And that like you choosing to move away from that and be grounded in yourself and know yourself and celebrate being human in all of its forms is not that big of a risk.
No.
But we are so scared to do it. We are so scared to do it. And I just love talking to you because you are like, you really do project life, vivacious life, a life well lived. And it's as much as the story that we're talking about has like a gravitational pull, like you have that gravitational pull because you are living that abundance. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, it's such a pleasure to witness and be in conversation because I'm like, okay, how can I be more abundant in my life? Like, where do I need to apply that?
Yeah, we'll do a check-in a few months from now. We'll say how our lives have changed.
I would love that.